Hello, Facebook Live land. Throwback Thursday, May 11th, 2017. Steve Sipress here. And before I get into the topic for today, as always, I share one of the rhinos out of my collection of about 800, not including the one up on the wall. And today, in honor of Throwback Thursday, it's an oldie but a goodie. This is an actual rhino that I used as a keychain back during my 9 years of door-to-door sales days. So what I did was I took a little plastic rhino that I probably got in a convenience store for like a nickel, and I took a screw eye and I screwed it right down through the middle of the back of the rhino. Now rhinos have 2-inch thick skin, so in real life if you did that with a 1-inch screw eye, it probably wouldn't even get stuck in there. But it worked for this case. Then I put a ring in it, and I had my keys on there. So every time I took this out of my pocket, which doing door-to-door sales was constantly, getting back in the car and driving up, getting back in the car and driving up, I was reminding myself to have thick skin and keep charging towards my goals no matter all the ridiculous negatives that got thrown at me and made me even tougher and tougher during those days. So that's my Throwback Thursday rhino, the good old, and look how worn out this thing is. I mean, on one side, it's kind of worn, and on the other, I mean, the horn is totally worn down. On the other side, it's pretty much like just doesn't even have the scales on it. It's just got totally worn down over the years, but it's a rhino, so you can wear it down, but you can't stop it. Now, today's topic, Throwback Thursday, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's not that oldie, but it's a classic book that it's in its fourth edition. First was published in 1990, so not that old, but it is almost 30 years old. It's definitely classics, definitely sold tons of copies and helped tons of people. It's the very first book that I ever read about direct response marketing. It came with a product from Dan Kennedy, his signature product called Magnetic Marketing, and 2 books came with it, The Ultimate Sales Letter and The Ultimate Marketing Plan, I believe was the other one. And I was not around to get the first edition in 1990. I had the second edition. That has gone by the wayside, don't know where it went, but I have since picked up the third edition, which was published sometime in the last decades of the 2000s, or whatever they're called. And I mean, you'd think that decade's been over for a while. You'd think we'd have a name for it. And if you do, and you put it in the comment, let me know. Like, what is the official name for the 2000s or whatever? So, you know, this one got completely, you know, highlighted, dog-eared, underlined, you name it, on top, pasting and using this as inspiration and ideas. And so what happened was, I'm in a Facebook group with a whole bunch of Dan Kennedy fans, and somebody mentioned this story about something about Dan Kennedy in a sales letter somebody wrote, and somebody else put a comment and said, oh no, then the person who posted it a few minutes later said, oh, I looked it up and I found that it's in the Ultimate Sales Letter. And I was like, really? I've read it a number of times. I would like to check that out and refresh myself again. And so I went and found my actually latest copy that I have. Maybe it's even got a newer one by now, but now it's in the 4th edition. So 4th edition, a little smaller than the 3rd edition. Well, I got to hold it back, right? Yeah, I'll get the hang of this. So here's the old 3rd edition, was a bigger thing. 4th edition is a little bit a smaller, more compact version. Also equally all torn up and dog-eared and underlined and whatever. But I found the story he was talking about on page 151 in here. It's a fun one. And since it wasn't in the index and it wasn't in the table of contents, just a couple of pages in there, I ended up pretty much going through the entire book and kind of browsing through it. And every single time I go through this book, I get ideas from my clients and for myself. And I'm like, man, who could use that? Yeah, he could use that. She could use that. Even I went downstairs and I shared something here with my beautiful wife Michelle and read her something out of here that she can use. And so I saw stuff that I ought to be using, my clients ought to be using. I mean, that's the beauty, and that's why it's here on Throwback Thursday. That's the beauty of the classics, is if you don't have this book, it's by Dan Kennedy, who's an absolute genius of direct response marketing for small business owners. Got to be on Amazon. I don't know if it's the 4th edition, if there's a 5th or a 6th one or whatever by now, but you got to have this in your library. More importantly, you got to take it off the shelf and just go through it once in a while. Do you have to read it word for word after the first time or two you've read through it? Of course not. I mean, it's a step-by-step guide to writing your own sales letter, which is a key to selling stuff and to transforming your life from chasing customers and doing lots of grunt work to having them find you and come to you. Hey, Brett Olaya. Brett Olaya is here, and Jerry is here. Yes, it's the ultimate sales letter, Dan Kennedy. And anyone, it ought to be required reading for all small business owners, because if you don't have this, you now no longer have an excuse. Go to Amazon.com, BN, BarnesandNoble.com, wherever else. Go to a local bookstore. Heck, I probably even, send you mine. I don't know where my other edition is gone, but anyway, go through this thing, folks. Every time you do, how many times you gone through it, Jerry? Every time you do, you're going to learn something new. That's what I did last night, and I'm going to go through it again this weekend because I'm like, man, I forgot. I know I read it, but every time you're going to read this, you're likely to be in a different position in your business, especially if you're like me, you make a living by helping clients to implement direct response marketing. I've always got new clients. They're always in a new position. Man, these things are flying across the screen. I love it. Thank you to whoever's doing that. And so you got to go back and reread these things, because the first or second or third or fourth time you read it, you were like, yeah, that's great. That's funny. It's interesting. I don't need that right now. I needed this. Maybe now this one is something you need. Maybe it's that one something you need. So that's it. Throwback Thursday. I'll be doing this every Thursday. If you got something in mind that you want me to discuss or talk about or take out of the archives for next week's Throwback Thursday, let me know. Send an email to Steve or Steve Sipress. Put a comment here. Jerry has read it 4 times. Hey, Scott. Hey, Lee. Thanks for you guys being here. 4 times. Well, that's more than I've read it. I have a feeling word for word, like reading it straight through. So I am remiss in my reading of the book, but I've certainly browsed it over and over and over. And what really helps, I've taught on it. Okay, there's a saying, the teacher always learns more than the student. The best way to learn something is first of all to read it, then to take action and actually do something based on it. But even the best of all is to teach based on it. And so for 6 years, I ran a group which started as a Dan Kennedy chapter in Chicago, where I taught this stuff for a living. And even after I exited the Dan Kennedy GKIC group, I still taught this stuff for a living. It's the best way to learn it. So read it, implement it, teach it to somebody. Heck, that's what I did, right? I went downstairs yesterday and I read something to my beautiful wife, Michelle. Now, knowing my beautiful wife, Michelle, she humored me and yesed me to death and said, that sounds good. But what she really did is just provided a sounding board for me to think I was teaching her something, and so I was explaining something, and when you do that, it really gets into your mind. So that's my advice today, is get into one of the old classics you got. If you don't know what they are, stick around, because every Thursday I'll be doing a Throwback Thursday. I'll introduce you to classic materials in the world of small business marketing, and the best thing to do is to read it, then to take action on it, and then if you can't, teach it. Even if you teach the mirror, teach your dog, teach your pet goldfish, teach anybody, just talk about it, and you'll learn it even more. That's it. That's my advice for today. Anybody else got something to add? Thanks, Lee, Scott, Jerry, Brett, for being here live. Anybody watching on the replay, and thanks for all these things flying across the screen. I don't know how you keep doing that, but it's awesome. I love it. And thanks for all that engagement, and I'll be back again tomorrow. I don't know what my theme is yet for Friday, because I am theming it out. This is the first week that I did Direct Mail Monday, I did Topical Tuesday, I did Wisdom Wednesday, and today is Throwback Thursday, and I got to figure out something to do for tomorrow. And that's all based on a book that just arrived today in the mail. It's called No Experience Necessary, Social Media for the Boomers, Gen Xers, and the Over 50 Entrepreneur by my friend Rob Onspach. I interviewed him last week, and that's a suggestion he gave me, was to theme it out and pick a different topic well, look at that. I even got a postcard in it. So we will be talking about this book in a future episode, and I already figured out what I'm going to do for Sunday, but I haven't figured out yet what Friday and Saturday is going to be. I have a feeling that within the next day, I will come up with what I'm going to talk about for Friday, because that's tomorrow, and I hope you'll join me then. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for everybody live, everyone on the replay. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Look at all these things coming across the screen. I gotta figure out how you're doing that or what it is, but it's very cool. I like it. Thanks for the engagement, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to have a little fun. My Rhino keychain and I are going to say over and out, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another daily Facebook Live video. If I can press the button. And I can't seem to press the button. Hey, is all those things coming across the screen stopping me from pressing this button? It says finish. Clicking on it. Not working. So, therefore, what else do you want to talk about?